Good afternoon, students. In our previous class, we learnt about respiration in insects, isn't it? All other, and even we have completed respiration in plants. Now we are going to learn about respiration in human beings. How human beings are going to respire and how the food is breaking down and energy is released. Okay. So before that, I'll show you the diagram of your respiratory system. How internally our respiratory system is seen. Okay, you see now. Children, how do we breathe? Okay, so what is breathing? Tr.Rajya stand and say.
Breathing is the process by which we inhale and exhale air.
Yes, breathing is only the simple process which shows us that we are inhaling, means we are taking in air and we are exhaling out the air. So it is only the process of exchanging your air, taking in and giving out. Okay, that is only breathing. But now respiration we are going to learn. So you see here, we all know that respiration first starts with our nose, isn't it? The nose is again connected with two holes that is called as your nostrils. Okay? Nostrils. These nostrils, what happens, you know? It opens into your pharynx. In your digestive system, what happens? The food from the mouth, it enters into your food pipe or your esophagus. Okay. So here, when the air enters into your nostrils, it first enters into your pharynx. From there, pharynx, what is pharynx? That is the opening which is connected to both your food pipe and your windpipe. Okay. From the pharynx, if you see here, you can see a small structure. It is called as your epiglottis. Epiglottis, which is a very small flap-like structure, which is the common passes for both of your food pipe as well as your windpipe. So whenever we are taking food or drinking water, what happens? No, this epiglottis, it will close the opening of your trachea. Trachea means your windpipe. Okay. So from the pharynx, the air enters into your trachea. Trachea. From there, it gets branched and enters into your lungs. This branch structure is known as your bronchos. Okay? And again this bronchos, what happens? It redivides inside the lungs as your branch of your plant or your tree. See here? It is again redivided into several branches. These are called as bronchioles. Okay? These bronchioles are again, where these bronchioles are present? Inside the lungs. Okay? A pair of lungs. Pair means two. So we have a pair of lungs which is placed inside your chest cavity. And these lungs are protected by your rib cage. It is protected by your rib cage, which is having 12 pairs of bones, or altogether 24 bones. Okay, and down to your lungs we have a dome shaped muscle, a dome-shaped muscle called as your diaphragm. We have a dome-shaped muscle called as diaphragm, which helps in the working of your respiratory system. When we inhale, you all keep your hand on your chest. Take a long breath. What happens? You feel that your chest is moving little bit up, isn't it? When you exhale, again it is coming to its original position. So, this particular work is done by your diaphragm. It is helping it in the movement. Okay, so when you are inhaling, what happens? Your diaphragm is contracting. It is making space for the lungs to absorb the external air. Okay, when you are exhaling, what happens? It comes, your diaphragm becomes relaxed and it comes to its original position. So in this way the exchange of gases take place. Now if you see inside the lungs, you have small balloon-like structures called as air sacs, that is your alveoli. Or alveolar sacs. These are small, very small packets or pouches which are present inside the lungs. You know how many alveoli are there? More than 300 million. Okay, more than 300 million of air sacs are present inside your lungs. What is the function of this alveoli? We all know that the blood which is moving from top of your head to the toes, it is always in a circulatory motion, isn't it? It is circulating every time. Why it is circulating? It is giving your energy as well as oxygen to every part of the cell, to every cell of your body, isn't it? Because our body is made up of millions of cells, which is again forming the tissue. The tissue, they are forming the organs, and organ systems are made up of a group of organs, isn't it? So, to give energy as well as oxygen to every cell of the body, these alveoli, how they work, you know? These alveoli, if you see the alveoli diagram here, I will show you separately. See, these are the bronchioles, which are supported by pouches of alveoli. Okay? So these are again surrounded with blood vessels. These are completely surrounded with blood vessels. So when we inhale, we take air inside our lungs. So these alveoli, what they do? They will absorb the oxygen, because oxygen is required in our body, or carbon dioxide is required by us? Oxygen, isn't it? So this oxygen is immediately absorbed by your blood vessels and they are circulated to every part of the body. Now what is left here? Along with oxygen, we are inhaling carbon dioxide also, and even the body is also producing some waste in the form of carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is again absorbed by your alveolar sacs and it is pushed back out of your body as a waste in the form of exhalation. During exhalation, what we are giving out? We are giving out carbon dioxide and we are taking oxygen, because oxygen is required by your body. So this is not breathing. We already learned that breathing is the process of inhaling and exhaling. But here what we are doing, when we are inhaling the air, here we are getting energy as well as oxygen. Right? So what is this termed as? It is termed as your respiration. So now what is respiration? Respiration is a process in which the food is oxidized in the presence of oxygen, and energy is released to every part of the body. Okay, now I will show you this mechanism, how it is going internally in our body through this video.
Respiration in humans. Respiration is the process of taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. It is through this process.
Now you see, this is your nose. Through this, the air enters into your windpipe. From the windpipe, it is branched. That is called as your bronchioles. And these bronchioles will be having air sacs, that is your alveoli. Here, you will see the pouches.
That all living organisms take in oxygen that is necessary for the oxidation of glucose. Let's look at the path air travels as it moves through the respiratory system of animals. To follow this path, we will use the human respiratory system as our example. The respiratory organs of humans are the lungs. These sac-like organs are pink in color and found in thoracic cavity. As we inhale air, it will reach the lungs where the oxygen will.
Why don't we need only, why don't we take carbon dioxide, why only oxygen? Can anyone say? We will.
The oxygen, we cannot take carbon dioxide because the alveolus cannot, the heart of the alveoli cannot work without any oxygen because the food will be oxidized by using only oxygen, not by the carbon dioxide.
Then what is carbon dioxide here?
Carbon dioxide is the gas.
Is it useful for us or it is
not useful for us, teacher.
It is a kind of waste, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Sit down.
They exchange for carbon dioxide, which we will then exhale. In order for the air to reach the lungs, it has a long way to travel. The nose is the entry point for air moving into the respiratory system. Your nose opens into a cavity above the upper jaw and then into a space called the pharynx. The pharynx is the common pathway for both food and air. The pharynx continues into a tube known as the trachea. Connecting the pharynx to the trachea.
The scientific name of your windpipe is trachea. As we have the scientific name of food pipe is esophagus.
Is the larynx, commonly known as the voice box. The trachea extends downward and divides
See here.
to the right.
These small pouches, what you can see, these are all alveoles or the air sacs.
And that's bronchi that are also in the thoracic cavity. Each bronchus will lead into a lung. And as it enters, it will divide further into bronchioles and alveolar ducts, which end as alveoli.
This red color ones, these are all arteries and the blue ones are the veins. So here exchange of gases will take place. How it will take place? The oxygen will be absorbed by your arteries and the waste, that is your carbon dioxide, it is taken by your veins. And this will be absorbed by your air sacs and again it will be released out in the form of exhalation.
Alveoli are tiny grape-like sacs, inside which the exchange of the oxygen and carbon dioxide gases takes place. Now let's take a look at what's actually taking place when you breathe. As you breathe in, the diaphragm, a muscle lying across the bottom of the chest cavity, will begin contracting.
So when it starts contracting, what happens? No, the air is entering into your lungs. It is making space here. Okay, in between the lungs get expanded and air enters into your lungs. And again when it is contracting, what happens? The air is coming out of our lungs in the form of exhalation. It's a continuous process, children.
The rib cage will lift and expand. This will increase the space inside the thoracic cavity and lungs. Oxygen-rich air will be put into the lungs through the nose by the process of inspiration. Oxygen will move out of the alveoli and into the tissues, while carbon dioxide will move into the alveoli. As the diaphragm relaxes, the lungs will return to the normal size. Air with carbon dioxide will be pumped out of the lungs in the process known as expiration. As inspiration and expiration continue, the carbon...
Children, here they are saying as aspiration and expiration. These are common, inhalation and exhalation. Okay, don't again get confused.
Dioxide will leave our bodies and the oxygen we need will be brought in and sent to the tissues. Summary. All living organisms respire in order to release energy from glucose. The respiratory organs of humans are the lungs. Alveoli are tiny grape-like sacs in which the exchange of gases takes place.
So here what we learn, the exchange of gases as well as how it is helping us to take energy. What is glucose here? It is the food which is getting into complex, from complex form to simpler form, and it is releasing energy. Now we will see how our lungs are getting affected, how we are getting affected when we are exposed to some unwanted things, isn't it? How we are spoiling our lungs. If you know, nowadays everyone is having a habit of smoking, right? So how our lungs become when we smoke? You see. What are the things we need to avoid to have healthy lungs? We have to take, every time we have to go for breathing exercise, at least 5 to 10 minutes every day. Then our lungs will be very healthy. Okay. Then when you are smoking, if a person is smoking or taking drugs or he is addicted to some other kinds of things like your alcohol, what happens, you know? When a person is smoking, he is less affected or he will get effect in a long term. But when we are standing beside or we are inhaling the gas, what the person who is smoking, then the air immediately it is going into our lungs and we are getting immediate effect rather than the person who is smoking. Okay. Then the second one, if you see here, the persons, those who take drugs. See here. Those who take drugs, what happens? The complete organ systems, not only your respiratory system, even your digestive tract as well as your nervous system also gets affected. If once your nervous system is getting affected, all your organ systems will get immediate effect one after the other, and at last your body will collapse. Okay. So now if you see here, syringes, means drug, those who are addicted to drugs, they take different kinds of injections which will affect your nervous system, and immediately on all other systems it will affect. So always stay away from your, there's all kinds of addictions towards your drugs or alcohol, even smoking. And nowadays we all are living in a polluted environment, isn't it? Why it is polluted? Why it is polluted? Yes?
Due to the cars and trees they release smoke which are harmful for the lungs.
Why?
As the oxygen present in the air will decrease, and these are harmful and will hurt our.
Can anyone define find her answer that oxygen level is decreasing. Why the oxygen level is decreasing? Who can say yes?
Because of the harmful gases that is present in the smoke, they will give off the oxygen.
So how can you release yourself from this harmful smoke?
If you go to the hospitals or any, means we can plant trees in our surroundings and reduce the smoke. As the trees can take in the carbon dioxide and they can give out oxygen due to the process of photosynthesis.
Okay. So the ultimate solution is we have to stop cutting the trees and we need to go on planting more and more trees, isn't it? Then only the balance in the nature will be maintained and we can get pure oxygen and we can minimize the your chlorofluorocarbons, isn't it? The carbon dioxide level will be stopped. Sit down. Sit. Okay. So now we'll have a small revision. We'll learn the key words. Okay. Pharynx, the membrane-lined cavity behind the nose and mouth, connecting them to the esophagus. You stand and read out.
The membrane-lined cavity behind the nose and mouth, connecting them to the esophagus.
Sit down. Because pharynx is the common passage for both your windpipe as well as your esophagus. Trachea, the membranous tube with cartilaginous rings that conveys inhaled air from the larynx to the bronchi. Stand and read. Cartilaginous
Means that converts
conveys inhaled
air from the
larynx.
to the bronchi.
What is this word cartilaginous? What is soft bones? In general term, cartilage means soft bones which can be easily twisted, isn't it? So cartilages are present in your tip of your nose and your earpinnus, isn't it? We can easily twist them. But don't try to twist your trachea. What will happen? Bronchi. Two main branches of the trachea that extend into the lungs and further divide into bronchioles. Tashvika, read out. Come here. From there you read out. From there you read out.
Two main branches of the trachea that extend into the lungs and further divide into bronchioles.
Lungs. Sac-like respiratory organs located within the rib cage. Alveoli. Thin-walled sac in lungs where exchange of respiratory gases takes place. Larynx. The hollow muscular voice box holding the vocal cords. Then diaphragm. Diaphragm is a muscular partition separating the abdominal and the thoracic cavity. Okay? Shall we go for a small quiz? Just raise your hands, those who know the answer. Okay? What is the path of oxygen inhaled in human body? Nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, then alveoli. Or second option, nasal cavity, trachea, pharynx, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. nasal cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchioles, lungs, bronchi, then alveoli, pharynx, nasal cavity, trachea, bronchioles, bronchi, alveoli. So which one? Yes?
Option A.
Why option A? Can you define your answer?
Yes, ma'am. Because in option A, first the nose or the nasal cavity, and then we have the pharynx, which is a common pass, and then we have the trachea, which is the windpipe. Then we have two branches, that is bronchi, and in which we have other divisions called bronchioles. On the bronchioles, we have alveoli, which are air sacs which purify the air. Thus, that's the correct option.
Very good. Why do we sneeze? To take in more oxygen, to give out excess carbon dioxide, to get rid of foreign particles in the nostrils, to increase the rate of respiration. Yes, Sathya?
The option C, to get rid of foreign particles in the nostrils.
What are these foreign particles?
The dust particles which are in the air, and when they get in the nostrils, they irritate the nostrils, by which we do sneezing.
Why they irritate?
Because they have dust particles that do itching sensation to the nose.
Yes, sit down. Inside your nostrils, what happened? No, you have very fine here. Okay, when we inhale the air, what happens? The dust particles are trapped by your. The dust particles are trapped by the hair which is present inside your nostrils. Okay. That's why we sneeze it out. Third one. What are exhalation and inhalation together called? Yes, people?
Breathing.
Breathing. Good. Sit down. Breathing rate is the number of times a person exhales in a minute, the number of times a person inhales in a minute, the number of times a person breathes in a minute, the number of times a person exhales in an hour. Yeah, last.
Option C, teacher. The number of times a particular person breathes in a minute.
Yes. Good. Sit down. So, are you all clear what is respiration and what is breathing? Everyone? Can you draw the diagram of respiratory system and show me tomorrow? Everyone? One more question will go. Air enters the lungs during inhalation because, hint, use the principle of airflow and pressure gradient. Pressure within the lungs is greater than the atmospheric pressure. Pressure within the lungs is lesser than the atmospheric pressure. Pressure within the lungs is same as the atmospheric pressure, or the force applied by the diaphragm increases pressure in the chest cavity. Which one? Chaitra.
It's option D.
Option D. Why?
Teacher, diaphragm is a special muscle that contracts and relaxes the lungs.
Okay. But it's wrong. Check your answer. The pressure within the lungs is lesser than the atmospheric pressure. Okay. Now children will just have a recap of the lesson what we have learned today. Okay. We'll go with the Venn diagram. So first your respiratory system starts with your nose or your nasal From the nasal cavity to the pharynx. From the pharynx, trachea. Trachea or the windpipe, isn't it? From the trachea, it enters into your bronchi or bronchos. From the bronchos, bronchioles. From the bronchioles, it enters into your alveoli, which is present inside your lungs. Okay? So, to understand the particular lesson, you need to go with your Venn diagram. Then it is very easy for you to remember the complete respiratory